Protests and rallies were already underway by the time President Trump landed in El Paso. Still, that didn't stop the president from meeting with some of the first responders who rushed to the scene following that deadly shooting inside that El Paso Walmart.
One of the victims was her uncle.
My uncle passed away, and unfortunately, and my cousin, he's in ICU at the moment, still fighting for his life.
Did you know that at the time when you were going in? Did you have any idea they were there?
No.
President Trump thanking law enforcement for the way they handled the chaos while responding to the deadly shooting scene.
Great job. There was some perfect coordination. They're all talking about it all over the world. They're all talking about the job you all did.
Others across the city were not as happy with the president's visit, holding anti-Trump rallies and protests. Some of those same protesters saying the focus needs to remain on the people of El Paso, not the president.
And in this moment, someone is visiting that I felt it was important that we come together and not focus on the visitor, but focus on El Paso.
President Trump telling first responders and the El Paso police chief before he left that he supports them 100% and that if they ever have any problems, he's there for them. Reporting, Brandon Evans, KOAT Action 7 News.
Now, while the president's itinerary was not made public, we do know he planned to meet with state and local leaders to talk about ways to combat gun violence, not only here in Texas and along the border, but all across the U.S. And we have some breaking news for you right now. We have learned about this horrific tragedy in that the mother of the suspect called police weeks before the attack. Here's what we know. She told them she was concerned because her son owned what she said was an AK-type firearm. That's according to lawyers for the family. Now, during that call, she talked to an officer who told her that based on her description of the situation, her 21-year-old son was legally allowed to purchase the gun. But lawyers say she did not provide her son's name and that the cops did not ask her for any additional information whatsoever. So that breaking news right now coming out of Texas. Now, a lot of people gathered today at a park to stand in solidarity, a rally against gun violence and also to protest the presidential visit. Action 7 News reporter Justin Matthews was at that rally.
I don't know why this dude is doing this to us.
Beto O'Rourke consoling a Walmart worker who was on the clock Saturday morning when bullets started to fly.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Sean Nixon says he was helping a little boy get school supplies, then heard a woman tell them to duck for cover.
It's gunshots. Get down. So me and the little boy dropped on the ground, and the lady dropped on the ground, and then I just remember looking to my left. I saw bodies just sitting there, dead.
He says he's been receiving counseling, but still can't sleep because of the traumatic experience.
Now some of my employees and me, myself, we're in traumatic stress. We're in traumatic stress. And now for the next 6 months, I have to go to counseling. Can't go back to work. Counseling would be the only thing at this point. And this put a lot of stress on me, but I'm thankful that I was able to be a hero towards a little one.
O'Rourke gave him his cell phone number, telling Nixon to call him if he ever needs extra help. Reporting in El Paso, Justin Matthews, KOAT Action 7 News.
Now here in El Paso, the city has more than $5 million right now to help this community that was rocked by this horrific tragedy.
The bottom line is that there's much to be done, and there's a need for speed.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott made that announcement today, saying the community is getting the money immediately to help people here and also organizations. Abbott met with city leaders, and he says they identified several issues concerning the community, including taking a closer look at how it prepares for and handles domestic terrorism. They also found problems regarding how to address hate or racism and gun safety. The governor says he will begin further discussions on these issues within the next month. And tonight, the suspect in this attack is being held in isolation at the El Paso detention facility. Patrick Crucius' cell is 7 feet by 11 feet. Now, authorities say they are monitoring him as they would any other inmate, and they also say he is not on suicide watch. Just days ago, police say he shot up an El Paso Walmart that I'm standing virtually 100 yards from, killing 22 people. He is charged with capital murder and is being held without bond. And now we know the federal authorities are treating this massacre as a case of domestic terrorism. Here's what else we know. The Justice Department is also seriously considering bringing federal hate crime and firearms charges against Crucius, and these carry a possible death sentence should he be convicted. Now, police say he has been cooperating with investigators, which are looking into racist and anti-immigrant documents they believe he posted online just days before this horrific mass shooting. Well, that's it for a very emotional day here in El Paso. Reporting live, I'm Doug Fernandez, KOAT Action 7 News. Christine, back to you in Albuquerque.
All right, Doug, and of the 22 killed in El Paso, at least 7 of them are Mexican nationals, some who came over the nearby border with Mexico just to go shopping. Action 7 News reporter Marissa Armos joins us live from El Paso tonight with more on this binational region. It's all new on 7.
Well, Christine, as you can see, the memorial here just continues to several people dropping off flowers, candles, rosarios, and more. And a lot of the signs that I stopped by to read here today really just talk about that relationship with Borderland. One of those signs reading Juárez Strong. Several people told me that this is a binational and bicultural region. 2 cities.
We have a great relationship with Juárez. They always say, come here, we are family. We always give love, not violence.
That meet in one area.
People that work here, they live over there. The ones that live over there, they work here, so it's the same country. I don't think we have a boundary.
2 cultures and 2 nations is what makes up the Borderland. Several people say it's not just El Paso that's hurting, but their sister city too.
For me, Juárez and El Paso is a great big family with a lot of love, and I feel for what's going on over there too.
Many Borderland residents saying they are upset that the president hasn't addressed the 7 Mexico nationals that were killed in Saturday's shooting.
For me, he's a racist man. He doesn't like us Mexicans. It's disrespectful.
From El Paso to Juárez and even New Mexico, Congresswoman Deb Haaland says we need to be here to support our neighbors.
It doesn't matter where they're from. They were killed. They're human beings. And we should mourn their deaths. We should mourn anyone who is a victim of this horrible violence.
And we just have been here all night, and we continue to see several different people coming by, many kids, many families, and many different groups stopping by to just pray together. We're also being told that one of those Mexico nationals had their funeral today in Juárez. Reporting live in El Paso, Marissa Armas, KOAT Action 7 News.
Marissa, thanks so much. And a special delivery today for the Dayton community. 9 crosses, 1 for each victim killed in the mass shooting on Sunday. Each one Greg Zanis built by hand. We told you about him earlier this week when he delivered 22 of those crosses to El Paso. Zanis has done this for many mass shootings, including Columbine 20 years ago. Since then, he has traveled around the country to spread love where there has been hate. Well, some strong words from the mayor of Dayton. She got to speak to the president briefly on the tarmac after he touched down earlier today, and she is pushing for the president to act.
I think he heard me. I don't know if he will take action. Do I think that we're going to see another mass shooting tomorrow or Friday? Probably, because Washington will not move.
The president visited victims still being treated in the hospital. He also met with first responders and law enforcement as protesters lined the streets demanding action on gun control. A rally outside of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's office in Kentucky. Protesters say he is blocking legislative changes they think could help prevent mass shootings. They gathered yesterday to remember those killed in Dayton and El Paso and demand action after dozens of people were murdered.
You wonder why. You wonder how. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
It's no longer become a question of what's right or wrong, what's moral, what's immoral. It's where the votes go, and that's a sad state of affairs for the country.
Organizers of the protest say that is exactly why they are chanting. 2 pieces of House-passed gun legislation are sitting on McConnell's desk. One of them would require background checks for every gun sale. Both of our senators from New Mexico say they would vote for similar legislation if it comes up in the Senate. Well, new on 7, the head of the Young American Football League in Albuquerque says there has been a major change in a local raffle where an AR-15 was part of a fundraiser. The team for Rio Grande put out a list of raffle ticket items about a month ago, and on the top of the list was a Smith & Wesson AR-15. After recent events in El Paso and other parts of the country, concerned parents contacted the coach. The gun has since been taken off the raffle list, and other businesses have stepped up to help provide items and other donations. Well, we are in the heart of monsoon season, and Chief Meteorologist Joe Diaz says so far Albuquerque is faring well.
Yeah, finally, we kind of had a slow start. The monsoon season, first of all, we normally pick up 4.61 inches of rain from June 15th to September 30th. We start off slow. We didn't get our normal almost half inch of rain in June, just a fraction of an inch last couple weeks in June. But July, instead of 1.5, we got nearly 2 inches. 1.58 is what we get for the entire month of August, which is our wettest month on average. And that 3/300ths, that third of an inch we have so far, brings us up to 2.31, which is close to where we should be for this time of year. That's a good thing, and we're not out of the monsoon season. We have more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. Will it happen tomorrow? No. You're going to have a great start on the day, but check it out. As we get into the afternoon, there'll be some showers and thunderstorms developing from the south, moving in a northerly direction, so we're looking for more scattered downpours, and that will be increasing in the days ahead. We'll outline all of that in the 7-day forecast.
A downtown apartment complex evacuated.
Makes me feel very unsafe.
The scary scene tonight as smoke fills hallways.
So he made his way up 3 floors to get to my place.
And a man who doesn't live there barricades himself inside. Plus, a changing society brings changes to schools.
The reality is that there is a threat.
The new things APS is doing this year to try to keep your students safe in the classroom.
You're watching KOAT Action 7 News.
Some people in downtown Albuquerque are out of their homes tonight. They were evacuated after police say an intruder assaulted someone inside. Action 7 News reporter Shelley Leggett is live outside the complex at First and Silver. She spoke to a man who says that intruder made their way into his apartment. Shelley.
Albuquerque police have reopened the roads, but there are still a lot of officers on scene, and people are not allowed back inside their homes. Now, we did speak to a man who said that his apartment was the one that the suspect barricaded himself inside. Dozens of people were evacuated from their homes here at the Silver Gardens apartment complex, including Levi Montoya.
He made his way up 3 floors to get to my place.
Albuquerque police say a man forced his way into the building and into Montoya's apartment and barricaded himself inside. You have to have a key card to get into the complex. APD says the suspect, who is not a resident of the complex, either went in behind someone or caught the door before it locked. Complex staff tried to stop him, but he got through and assaulted someone.
I would go out to go drop off some money at work. It only took about 10 minutes. I come back and someone's holding the door from the inside.
Montoya says he and staff members were able to push open his apartment doors a little bit. He could see his fridge and his mail on the floor, and then they got sprayed with a fire extinguisher. This is video from another resident of smoke filling the hallways. APD says the suspect set a small fire inside the complex. Residents were told to go to the convention center until the property has been cleared.
It makes me feel very unsafe that I can't go into my apartment without someone being in there, especially with 2 locks on the way in.
This incident is still under investigation, but APD did take that suspect into custody, and tonight many residents are seeking shelter with loved ones or at the Albuquerque Convention Center until police say they can go back home. Live in downtown Albuquerque, Shelley Leggett, KOAT Action 7 News.
New on 7, a suspicious death investigation near the UNM campus. APD says they were called out to the area near Harvard and Silver after someone found a body. So far, very few details have been released. We'll keep you posted when we learn more. There are some changes coming to the drills your kids will be doing at school this year. A new state law changes the types and numbers of drills required. During the first 4 weeks of school, APS will hold a drill every week. They'll have 1 active shooter drill, 1 evacuation, and 2 fire drills. APS says they refresh their policy as society changes and shootings are now part of what they have to plan for.
We've seen it happen in schools, we've seen it happen in movie theaters, in churches, at festivals, inside stores. To the best of our ability, we want to be prepared, and we're doing what we can.
It's not just training. APS is also installing locks to let teachers secure classrooms. They're also looking at changes to fencing, entryways, as well as alarm and camera systems. 4 dog deaths in Rio Rancho are being called suspicious by the police department. So far, none of the deaths has been confirmed to be the result of poisoning, but the Rio Rancho Police Department says it has received 2 reports of suspicious substances found in the Northern Meadows community. The substances were collected and are being tested. After Target 7 told you about how parks can help cut down crime, the state's largest city and largest school district are coming together to put more parks in your neighborhoods. Tomorrow night at 6, Target 7 looks at how they plan to make that happen and just how soon you could see a new park near you. Now here's Joe with your live Super Doppler 7 forecast.
And I was doing a Facebook Live tonight. A lot of people were commenting about the beautiful evening we were experiencing, but a lot of us want more rain. And guess what? More active weather is in the forecast. Storms increase on Friday. Drier air working in early next week. As we look at your forecast, a 92 is a high. So yeah, the above normal temperatures are going to be with us, hotter than normal. Notice we have some storms to the south of us, and then that'll be moving and kind of skirting areas around Santa Fe and Albuquerque, more across the western part of the state. A couple strong ones northeastern New Mexico. Now we get into Friday, an impact day. We're calling it an impact day because Friday afternoon into your Friday night, a better shot at showers and thunderstorms working over central western parts of the state and moving in a northerly and easterly direction. It's going to be pretty dry and quiet over southeastern parts of the state, but just realize the showers and thunderstorms could keep you inside for part of your Friday evening. Now, a little less active on Friday as the focus will be across the western third of New Mexico, and then turning a little bit more active on Sunday as yet another weather disturbance rides across the state. So I think that'll be an upswing followed by some drier air working into the northwestern part of New Mexico. That's going to bring the storm chances down for at least a time. All right, it's time for the PNM renewable recap over the past 24 hours and 8 at 4 p.m. The maximum percent of clean renewable energy delivered was a lot higher than yesterday, hitting 21%. So for a time, 21% of all customers receiving only clean energy. Statewide wind production was up, solar down, but for August, That's a really good number for renewables, because there's a lot of people using electricity because it's so hot, and August has been pretty hot. But also during that Facebook Live, people were saying it's been kind of an unusual monsoon season. I mean, some people are getting a downpour in town, some people are getting dry. The next day, it's the other part of town
Spotty.
getting wet. Yeah, so a spot soon is what we call this pattern when we get into it. But it looks like Friday is a better opportunity for more widespread rain. So let's just hope that we can get a good coverage across a broad section.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks so much, Joe, for that. Well, caught on camera, a huge wave knocking down several people in China. You can see a man standing right by the seawall, and he gets drenched as that tide hits. He was rescued by other tourists on the bank. This powerful and large wave is being created by an astronomical tide and typhoons. New tonight, ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft are partly to blame for the time you spend in traffic. That's according to a new study. Transportation consultants looked at congestion problems in several big cities. The study found that ride-sharing was responsible for anywhere between 2% to more than 13% of all the vehicle miles traveled in a city. Only around half of those miles were actually spent driving a passenger. Only on 7, KOAT is getting you ready for Cardinals football. From #1 draft pick Kyler Murray to the team's high hopes for this season, we have what you need to know leading to kickoff. Todd Kurtz will be anchoring our live pregame coverage from Phoenix. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. on KOAT. Next on 7, giving Netflix a run for their money. Details on Disney's new streaming service. Plus, upset over an emoji, why neighbors are angry about this house next.
You're watching KOAT Action 7 News.
FedEx and Amazon are parting ways. Starting next month, the company says it will no longer deliver Amazon orders to customers. The move comes after FedEx dumped Amazon from its air cargo services in June. Amazon has been aggressively working to expand its own delivery network where Amazon employees drop off packages. Most analysts see that as a threat to the traditional carrier's business. Walgreens is planning to close about 200 stores. The company does not plan to announce which stores will shut down, but says they are in areas that have multiple locations. Walgreens says the closures represent less than 3% of its U.S. store portfolio. Most affected employees are expected to be transferred. Disney's new streaming service, Disney Plus, launches in less than 3 months, and Disney announced it will offer a bundle package that includes its Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu. It costs $13 a month, which is the same as a standard Netflix subscription. But Hulu alone costs about $12 without ads, so the Disney package will save you about $5. If you are not looking to bundle your streaming services, just getting Disney Plus will cost about $7 a month. A new survey is raising some eyebrows. Lego asked thousands of kids between the ages of 8 and 12 what they want to be when they grow up. And almost a third of the kids said they want to be a YouTuber. While some can make millions by creating videos and posting them on the site, it's very rare. Here's a look at the top 5 careers ranked by kids in the U.S. and the UK. After YouTuber is teacher, then professional athlete, musician, and astronaut. Upset over emojis. A neighborhood in a California beach town is upset over a homeowner's choice in artwork. Take a look. The hot pink house features giant yellow emojis. There it is. Neighbors say it is becoming a tourist attraction, bringing increased traffic and activity to the normally quiet neighborhood. Some are upset and even concerned about decreased property values, while others are taking it in stride.
It doesn't bother me. I think it's funny. It's different, but that's okay. Different is fine.
I was just so surprised that somebody would do that to their neighbors.
One neighbor insists the mural was put up as retaliation after neighbors reported the homeowner for using her house as a short-term rental, which is not allowed. She was fined $4,000, and then shortly after, those emojis appeared. The homeowner denies the allegation. Next on 7, a story of inspiration, how one school leader made it to the top with a lot of hard work.
And here's a look at your planner for tomorrow. Great start on the day, 74 degrees by the noon hour. By the 9 o'clock hour, by the noon hour, you're already cracking the mid-80s, which isn't too bad. As we get into the afternoon, the heat of the day will drop a few showers and thunderstorms, so be alert for that as you're getting off work on into the first part of the evening.